Welcome back to Full Being. Today, the Goodwood Festival of Speed. A new Formula E champion has been crowned, and the Hungarian Grand Prix. Woo! Full Being!
My name is Ozzy. David, Frankie over there. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment this
notification.
video, all that good stuff. We start off with the news. The first news subject that we have today is the Goodwood Festival of Speed 2024. So you know there are car shows, racing events. Well, the Goodwood Festival of Speed is like that, but on steroids. It's a celebration of all things motorsports with historical cars, hill climbing, rally stages, and more. It's based in England. It's a good event if you're a motorhead to go. It's a kind of a prestigious event to go. One of the most memorable cars that were there that kind of stuck with me were the side cars. Pretty crazy to see. They're kind of like what is it, like that bobsled? I think it was a bobsled. It uses like multiple people in the back. And these sidecars are pretty crazy because these guys, the sidecar guy uses his body to lean more for them to get a better cornering speed. So
who was like the guy that was like, "Hey man, I got a real good idea. I'm gonna drive this motorcycle. You're gonna get a sidecar, and you are gonna be the one leaning."
Yeah, that guy must have been on. He must have been on.
How do you convince his friend?
I don't know, with a few beers or a few alcohol beverages.
Do you think I could convince you to be the monkey? I think they're called the monkey or something like that. Do you think I could convince you to be the monkey?
After a few shots, maybe. I think you might, dude.
I think they're called the monkey, something like that.
That looks so dangerous, dude. Like, just one little slip and you're out, you know? You're grabbing really onto nothing as far as, like, the sidecar person. So, pretty crazy to see. Another memorable car that was there was this super van right there. So this super van was an electric van, crazy amount of horsepower, but the launch speed, I know we all know electric cars have a crazy acceleration.
Instant torque.
Exactly, instant torque. Frankie, our local EV expert here. So this super van was in contention to making the fastest time here at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. And I'm not sure if it did it or not. It was fighting against this Subaru, but this super van, Checo drove this super van, and he didn't push it to the limit because, first of all, he didn't know the track there, and he was kind of scared to push it to the limit. And it's pretty crazy to think.
That thing looks like it'll get you to soccer practice nice and early.
Yeah, exactly. If you're running a late, you need a.
That looks like a good soccer mom van.
I think if you need to get anywhere, pull out the super van and you'll get there in a second.
Yeah, I think my mom needed that back when I was in high school before we drove.
Yeah.
She said she'd be on her way. House was 5 minutes away from school, and I'd be sitting there waiting.
There's no excuse
be
here.
Sitting there waiting for half an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
How does that work?
There's no excuse with the super van.
Yeah. Leaving me there all hungry and tired after soccer practice.
Yeah, so
when can we order one of these for moms around the world?
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit a while because I believe this super van is quite expensive. It's not on the side.
You don't think it's cost the same as a Toyota Sienna?
Nah, I really doubt it doesn't. So Ford is the one who built this van. They've been working on this. And, like Ford's coming in 2026 with a Red Bull. So it has its Red Bull livery on there. One of the most memorable things and kind of taking the show at this festival or taking headlines was Adrian Newey's hypercar RB17 hypercar 1200 horsepower V10 engine inspired by the Formula 1 car, and it's a pretty sexy car out there. Look at that thing, dude. Pretty sexy car out there.
I want it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's street legal. A lot of
what is the point of that? Being street legal
to get a lot of speeding tickets. Well, that's the only thing.
The one thing is like, okay, you made the car cool, but it's like, yeah, let's make it street legal.
I know, that's crazy, dude. So, nice looking car. Nice to see that he does other stuff besides one. He has other passions making different design cars. So It was a good event. All the Red Bull family was there. It was a good memory for Red Bull. I believe it was like maybe I think it was for they're celebrating their 20th anniversary, being in the Formula One motorsports. So it was a good event there. Something that like I'm pretty sure we would like to go there. I would like to go there. It was a nice event. Moving on now, we move on to some racing. Formula E series crowns a new champion today. Today was their last round in London. Their London track has a unique style where the beginning of the race start is inside a warehouse, then it goes to the outside, and then you go back in. The new Formula E champion, Pascal Wehrlein.
I think it's Wehrlein.
Wehrlein has been crowned.
I think.
Pascal is a former F1 driver that drove for Sauber F1 team, so he's been in F1, and he was there. Not too successful there. I'm pretty sure the car he had wasn't that good, so he really couldn't show his potential. He joined Formula E in 2018 with Porsche.
In 2018?
Yeah.
He's been out of F1 that long?
Yeah, it's been a while, dude. So, which he's still a part of, and which he's had tremendous success with this teams. Had 7 wins, 12 podiums, and 6 pole positions. And now he can put in his trophy cabinet a Formula E world champion. In the last round of Formula E championship, Pascal finished second, which gives him the title of Formula E champion. So congratulations, Pascal, with this victory. And just to show that maybe you weren't successful in Formula One, that's not the end of the road. You might, hit different series and you might be successful there. So I think
you might rise up to the greatest racers can, and you might step up into Indy.
Yeah, exactly. So there's always what do they say, like a
silver lining, a good and one door open closes, another one opens.
Exactly, dude.
For my team, Porsche, thank you.
Yeah, so
Pascal.
They didn't win the they didn't win the constructors. Jaguar won that one. So
I actually the first time ever the other day, I saw Formula E merch at Disneyland.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I have never seen Formula E merch outside of racing events.
I
mean, now we see a bunch of F1 merch. We'll see Indy merch every once in a while here in the States. But I saw a Jaguar hat. It was a Jaguar hat, Formula E, and I was like, I told my girlfriend, I was like, that's a Formula E hat.
Yeah, that's kind of odd, huh?
It was a little kid. It was a little kid too.
It caught your eye.
Yeah, it caught my eye.
Yeah, so maybe Formula E is on the rise of getting They do a lot of good stuff. They try new stuff. Their podiums, I know that's the one thing on Indian that we
Aussie's favorite complaint.
Yeah, exactly.
Thing to bring up every episode.
So they do those well. Their TV, what's it called, animations. There's so maybe Formula E is the next racing series to catch traction and could rival IndyCar. But as it sits right now, IndyCar is on top.
Then it's Formula One.
Then it's Formula One. And now talking about Formula One, we move on to the Hungarian Grand Prix, a drama-filled Grand Prix. A lot of complaints, a lot of...
you could say that. It was okay.
Yeah, a lot of tempers, flares, a lot of what's going to go on. Trust was one thing that was being tested here at this race. Oscar Piastri wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, and this is his maiden win. I think this is really good to the sport that we have another new race winner.
And new
7th, I think, race winner of this season. So good to see Oscar win.
Frankie, look up when was the last time we had that many split screens so Ozzy can
So it's been I think it's been a while. I think it's been since I want to say 2012.
That many 7 race winners?
Yeah. I think it's been a long time.
That's a long time.
And you know what? F1 might be rivaling Indy because Indy is close to that amount of race winners.
I'm not gonna lie, it's getting back up there.
Yeah, so it might be bringing the fight to Indy on that, right? So really good to see Oscar win. He's a really humble guy. So
he's been a real team player.
Has been a team player. Exactly. So
which was important in this race.
It was. Oscar takes just a quick on Oscar's race. He takes the lead at the start of the race and going into turn one, and builds up a gap to Lando Norris to up to 4 seconds. Yeah,
Quickly built that gap.
yeah. So and it looked like Lando was gonna be. Well, we'll talk about Lando in the future. Coming up, Oscar gets under. This is the big talking point right here. Oscar gets undercut by his teammate Lando, which then the team tells him not to worry about it and they will sort it out later in the race here. What did you, if you were Oscar's shoes and they told you, are you okay? I'm trusting the team. I mean, are you stressing a little bit right there?
Quickly, I think McLaren's strategies, they have to improve if they wanna make a real push. I think they've been indecisive a little bit. We've seen this last race at Silverstone, where Oscar gets undercut. Not undercut. Oscar's race gets thrown away by them letting him pit a lap later. We see the same thing here, where Oscar gets pit a lap later, and he gets undercut by Norris, which there's so many things. There's so many talking points to this, right? Because it could be okay. McLaren could have favored Norris because he is closer to Verstappen, so he's closer to winning, to being a championship contender. But then Norris should have been the favored driver. Oscar should have been the favored driver in this race because he was the outright faster driver. I think they were saying that they pitted Norris first to try to protect from Hamilton at the time. I don't know. Them telling him not to worry, that they'll figure out later. They also told Norris that he's allowed to race Piastri till the mid-40s of laps. Lots of communication, lots of radio we heard from these guys today.
Yeah, I think if I was in Oscar's shoes, at that moment, Lando had not shown any reason not to be trusted, not to be doubtful that he would get that position back.
What a freaking position to be in.
So at that moment, I think everybody thought that Oscar would get that position back, and these two guys work together as a team to bring to make themselves better, right? Which then later we see that Oscar is given the lead of the race on the last few laps and takes the victory of this Hungarian Grand Prix. Which, congratulations to Oscar, dude. Great guy to win there. Now we move on to Norris. Finishes second, but had a tough decision to make to give that position back, right? He loses the lead at the start of the race, almost gets sandwiched going into turn one with Verstappen being on the outside and Oscar being on the inside. Lando, once he's overtaken by Oscar, he starts battling Max and Lewis behind. Couldn't bring the fight to Oscar in the beginning state of the race. And then, like we were saying right now, Lando was given the optimal strategy, which undercuts Oscar, but it covers, you were right, David, it covers Max and Lewis behind. So, and I think this is important where McLaren, they put themselves in a sticky situation where they give Lando Norris the better strategy and have to tell Norris to give the position back to Oscar. But at this point, I think McLaren was still thinking that Lando is still a team player. He hasn't given them no reason not to be a team player. So for them to give him the optimal strategy, I think it was the right move to them because they wanted to keep that 1-2 finish and get maximum points. And where they see Red Bull is kind of a little weak right now, they were able to bring the fight to Red Bull and the constructors. Lando was told multiple times to give the position back to Oscar, but Lando went radio silent on there, didn't respond to a lot of those. First, it was talking about tires, using too much tires, right?
Yeah.
Then at the end, they started to say, hey, we need you to give Oscar the position back, but what is submittable, right?
The biggest one was, hey, you don't win a championship alone.
Exactly.
That was I was like, hey, look, we try to give you like you're saying, subliminal messages to be like, hey, give them the position. And then they were like getting more serious and more serious and more serious. And then they were like, okay, you're not going to win this championship alone. You're going to need Oscar. You're going to need the rest of the team, which I mean is true. It's all true.
Yeah.
So that was kind of. I mean, the whole situation was a tough situation, right?
I would have. I honestly thought maybe because he gave the lead like I think the third to last lap. I thought he wasn't gonna give it to him at the end, dude, because he was not slowing
I didn't
down.
think he was gonna give it, and then
he was pulling away.
He was pulling away, but do you think Oscar was not pushing because the team had told him, "Hey, he's gonna give it back to you"?
You know what I was thinking at that moment? I think so. Yeah, I think Oscar was not pushing. But I feel like Oscar wasn't pushing to kind of like, I don't know if he was thinking in his head, let me test Lando Norris's real trust right here and make it a little bit difficult.
Because it would have to be completely Lando's decision.
Exactly.
Right? Because if he's like on his ass, then it's like, okay, he is faster. So like it's easier for me to swallow that.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know which, if you're listening to the global feed or the F1 feed.
Sky Sports feed.
Well, that's the one with what's his name? Crofty. Yeah. So I was listening to the F1 one, and that one has David Coulthard on it, DC, and I forgot the other guy who's on there. He was asking him, "You did this one time for Mickey Hakkinen back, I forgot what race in whatever year, to give Mickey Hakkinen his maiden win, his first win." And he asked him, "Would you, if you can go back in time, would you do it again?" And David goes, "No." He's like, that was, I did not like, he's like, it was a similar situation where, like, the strategy had played out towards David's favor, and then Mickey was just, like, he wasn't going to catch him. Yeah. They asked for the same thing. He gave him the victory, his maiden victory, would have given, and then this would have given Norris barely his second win.
His second win.
David was saying that would have been his own fourth win.
Uh-huh.
So he was saying that I wouldn't have done it. He's like, now that I think about it, I shouldn't have done it.
You know what? Now that you say that, I feel like there's really no way. If you have two drivers fighting at the top, you have to give that first place guy, the one whoever's in the lead, you have to give him the optimal strategy.
Lead in what?
Leading the race.
Okay, exactly. But then you could have the argument, right? Who's ever leading the championship?
Bro, I think you can't do it, dude.
I think
it's just you're putting yourself in such a sticky situation where later you have to make a really tough decision, and it's just gonna bite you in the butt later.
Well, I think, I think they should have given Oscar the preferable strategy
from the start.
Because Norris, I think, had the pace, even if he falls back one position, two positions behind Verstappen or Hamilton. I think he had the pace to pass him regardless.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and then that covering of them two, I think at that point was like extra precaution. It wasn't like, hey, we need to do it now. Mm-hmm. I think they could have easily switched strategies, not gone into this freaking dance that they got into, this game of chicken that they went into. Mm-hmm. I think that's what they gotta. The strategist, the team there, they need to really, to be the best, you got to, make these decisions quicker, faster. You can't have this kind of, please let them go.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. You can't be like, please let them go. It's a firm yes or no. It
was really reminiscent of the older F1 days of Michael Schumacher not being the best on the day, but them giving team orders. And I don't know if you've ever seen videos, his teammates would literally pull over, wait 20 seconds for Michael to pass, and then they would go 1-2.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. It's one thing, like you said, to be on his ass, but then another thing to be 20 seconds and pull over to the side and wait for him to catch him.
Like our friend crazy. Brian at K1. Shout out Brian.
Shout out Brian. Too polite, dude. Too polite. So yeah, it's crazy.
Sticky situation, like you're saying.
One thing I was waiting for while this whole thing was happening was our man Zach Brown to come in there and
I don't think he was there today.
Yeah, exactly. So later I find out that he was not there. He was at the more important, of course, IndyCar Grand Prix in Toronto. So make sure you tune in for an episode on that. But he never came in.
And it was interesting because I never heard Andre Stella on the radio. I don't think he went on the radio.
I don't think he ever did.
So,
either.
I mean, it was. I mean, lots to talk about there. What a debriefing after the race that must have been.
Yeah, it must have been either no one's talking, everybody's silent, or they're going at it, right?
Or it could have been hey, Norris did, Norris, like we said, Norris did let him pass. Piastri takes the win. Norris finishes second. The team absolutely demolished the rest of the
no one stood a chance.
The racers, the grid this week. So, is it maybe a bonding experience? Maybe it's a team building experience. At the end of the day, they go, "Hey, look, you had a tough decision. You made it. Now we know. All of us here know everyone's got everyone's back."
Yeah, but I think if I'm Oscar, dude, I'm not letting this happen again. I'm not gonna let this.
You're saying on the strategies difference.
On the strategy, yeah, because you're saying like a team building, right?
Yeah,
so maybe they could, if this situation occurs again, that Norris will give him for sure the position back. Is that what you're saying? Kind of like.
Well, I'm just saying that it could have been. It could be that everyone goes, "Hey, you know what? We do have each other's backs here."
Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying.
But Norris, I mean, both people. Oscar has been very much a team player in the past too.
Yeah.
So, man, it's be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
Two drivers battling it out, and sure, Piastri's not close enough this year, but maybe next year you got them fighting for 1 and 2 in the championship position, and then you get a Rosberg Hamilton.
Which we hope to see. Dude. So
although I don't know if I want Zach experiencing that stress.
I want to see. I don't know. I feel like Zach would make funny moments at that time. But
dude, what a race between the McLarens taking the headlines for sure.
Yeah. So to finish us off, I think Oscar, if I was in his shoes, man, I wouldn't let this happen again, and I would give me the optimal strategy. I really don't care if he's fighting for a championship, right? So. Now we move on to Verstappen's race. This guy was very vocal in this race. He was not his best one to forget. Commented over the radio that he was having issues with the car, not turning, trying different modes, and wasn't working. Very unhappy during the whole race. Was it maybe a lack of sleep? Crofty multiple times commenting that Max Verstappen was up till 3 a.m. sim racing with his Wehrlein team online. So could it be that? Maybe he didn't have his coffee in the morning, a little cranky. When you don't have that many hours of sleep, you do every little thing irritates you.
Yeah.
So
well, if the door doesn't open right,
exactly.
You might stubbing the toe with no sleep.
Oh my god, dude!
That's like
you're about to become like the villain of the world, dude. So
no.
and what a race to have the lack of sleep, and then go to this race where the team didn't make the best decisions of their season so far. Very happy with one of them where Verstappen was right behind Lewis, and then Lewis undercuts Verstappen. That one was a clear one that I think everybody kind of saw, and one that Verstappen said on the first one, okay, I'll give you that one. But on the second one, where Lewis undercuts Verstappen, was one that, come on, guys, like you guys have to do better, right? When Verstappen does get overcut, Verstappen then tries to overtake Lewis and dive bombs him, causing a collision. I thought he had a
battles
puncture.
of old.
Battles of the 2021 season. I thought Verstappen almost had a puncture on that one. Was gonna DNF.
I'm surprised they both drove out of there.
Yeah, dude. And like David said, they still drove out. Verstappen keeps going, and I think that was it for Verstappen's race. Finishes 5th.
I mean, Verstappen this race. We kind of see him a little bit of like a, I don't know, like a little baby, like complaining about everything.
But is this normal? Like, is this like, obviously you try to be cool and collected and try to make clear decisions, right? But to me, this doesn't look like a normal race winning driver. But is this, like, would you say maybe in his culture or his driving style growing up, is that a normal Verstappen thing?
I don't know, because when Hamilton started falling off from his super run,
yeah,
we would comment on the same thing about him. Like, besides the Max takes in the first corner, Max, it looks like he commits to running off the track.
Yeah.
To take Norris, to overtake Norris. He does that. He gives the position back after a few laps of him complaining. which is something that we would complain that Lewis would do when Max was on him, when Max was coming up, right? Lewis tend to use more of the track than allowed to make his passes. Likewise, Lewis would be complaining about his tires coming off, right? Like, it was a joke. It was a meme.
Yeah.
That he's always complaining about his tires.
Little things
Max
like that.
now complaining about he can't brake. Like, the car doesn't brake. It doesn't brake. It doesn't brake.
So maybe
I think that part's normal.
Uh-huh.
But, like, the rest of him complaining, I don't know. Like, that was, like, he was complaining a lot.
Is it a withdrawal of just being on top for such a long time? I mean, obviously Hamilton was a lot more, but Verstappen being so dominant for a year, 2 years on top, and then now that everything's falling apart, it's just a withdrawal of now complaining about every little thing. Because you're right about, like, Lewis, when he was falling off, every little thing, complaining about stuff about the car, about the strategy. Sometimes didn't even want to continue the race.
But,
So-
I mean, even with Lewis, like, I mean, again, not being the biggest Lewis fan, I don't feel he was complaining to
As
this
much?
extent. Like, Max felt like it was like a little kid not getting his way, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it felt like he was, like, screaming and kicking, like those kids on the park that you're trying to take away, like, trying to, all right, it's time to go home.
Yeah,
and they're,
which-
like, screaming and kicking, and, like, he's complaining about the officiating, complaining about the car itself, complaining about other drivers, complaining about just every single thing he complained about. I'm surprised he didn't complain about it being too sunny or cloudy. Like,
yeah, exactly, dude. Which is so weird because I feel like Max is such a smart driver, right? So
coming up, you felt like he was like
he's matured enough.
he was assassin. Like, he was like, okay, he had his couple of seasons of like being over like aggressive. He calmed down, matured, took the battle to Lewis, won that championship, won 2 more after that, and you see like, okay, this assassin mind, like nothing's gonna phase him, and now everything seems to be phasing him.
And it looks like he's kind of going back to that old way, right? So finish it 5th. Last comments on this race: Checo and Russell have a great recovery drive after a poor Q1 exit. I know Checo's been under the gun, but now he finishes 2 positions behind Verstappen. So take that, everybody who's talking a lot of crap about Checo losing his seat.
Go to the final stand.
So Checo, no, Frankie, go back to I want to see the notes too.
Okay. Side by side, Frankie. You can split them.
So great recovery from Checo. He was looking pretty quick. Sad to see him on that Q1 exit with the rain.
I thought it was funny that this week we got Yuki, I think, commenting on that, like he should be the one taking the seat. Right? Man, Yuki really messed up that car.
Oh, on the qualifying.
On qualifying.
Yeah.
He had a decent race, surprisingly.
Yeah, Yuki had a good race. He was able to hold on to those mediums for a very long time and was able to make the one-stop work. So Yuki, the one, kind of we had a Verstappen Yuki switch where Yuki's kind of the one complaining about a lot of stuff, and it went over to Verstappen and Yuki being very quiet on this one. So good recovery race from Checo and Russell. Another thing, going back to Lando, we could see he's very unhappy after the race, and he took it on his fellow British man, Lewis Hamilton, where Lewis in the cool down room, Lewis complimented Lando on his car being very fast, and Lando with a sassy response, saying, "Well, you guys had a very fast car 7 years ago," and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen the video. I'll pop it up right here. About that response. Pretty crazy that he took it out on Lewis at that moment. He was just looking for the next person that was gonna say the wrong thing, and bam, you were gonna take it. So we could see he was very unhappy on there. Great, like we said, great win for Oscar to win. But
how do you feel if you were Oscar? How would you feel that being your first win?
Yeah, so man, like it's good for him to win, but with this whole Lando thing, it made it a little awkward, dude.
I mean,
it made his win a little awkward and very overshadowed by the decisions that McLaren made, right? Where it should have been all about Oscar, him winning the race, him having a great drive, doing everything correct, and now it being kind of overshadowed about McLaren putting themselves in that situation.
And I think McLaren has no one to blame but themselves.
Exactly, right? not to say this is not a good problem to have, right? They're fighting up at the top, so it's not the worst thing, but it sucks to see this is Oscar's first win and kind of this overshadowing the thing and the media going crazy. Obviously going crazy. Any drama that happens in F1.
Yeah, the media.
Yeah, exactly. Any drama that happens to F1, and we love to blow it up, right? When the racing isn't great, but the drama is one to talk about. We blow that thing up. Next race is gonna be Spa. Spa, another great track, another place where sometimes it rains, sometimes it doesn't.
It's gonna be a McLaren win.
You think so?
I think so.
Yeah, my McLaren is looking very strong, dude. Rebel.
I'm sorry. It's gonna be a Mercedes win.
Mercedes win?
Yeah, let's just keep throwing some drama in there. Let's keep throwing some.
All right, let's throw in some Williams win, bro.
Yeah.
And on that bombshell, Williams winning the Spa 2024 Grand Prix. Full Beans signing out.